Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Erik ten Hag delaying contract decisions on Marcus Rashford and David De Gea. Both of their deals expire in June of next year. But both players have an option to extend their contracts for a further year. Earlier on this year, it said Man United were ready to hand Marcus Rashford a new 5-year deal as a reward for his early season form. Don't forget, Marcus Rashford recently come on against Newcastle and he sent an injury time header wide, so he was unlucky not to score. Rashford squandered big chances against Ammonia Nicosia at Old Trafford. Not so long ago, Rashford won the Premier League Player of the Month for September. I think Rashford's enjoying a pretty good season to his standards. Not so long ago, come back from an injury. Rashford has been part of the club for a long time. He came up our academy. He's been a Man United player since the age of 7 and he broke into our senior squad back in 2016. Don't forget, Rashford has been linked with PSG before. And David De Gea, he recently made his 500th appearance for the club in the 0-0 draw with Newcastle. De Gea will be starting in goal tonight against Tottenham, so that will be his 501st appearance. After the 2-1 win against Everton at Goodison Park, it said De Gea breaks silence on signing a new Man United contract. De Gea admitted he'd like to stay at Man United for more years after winning at Everton. But earlier on this year, it said that De Gea could leave Man United on a free at the end of the season. It said his former club Atletico Madrid are interested in re-signing him, and he was wanted by Juventus on a free transfer at the end of the season. De Gea earns £375,000 a week. He's endured around 11 years or so at Man United, so reflecting on that, he's been a long-serving player. He's been with us since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. He's won everything domestically at the football club, because earlier on this year, he won the Players' Player of the Year award. Now, I want to give you some more news regarding Mason Greenwood. So Mason Greenwood has been released on bail after private hearing. Prior to that, I actually said Mason Greenwood had been denied bail, like I mentioned yesterday. Mason Greenwood will find out today if he's spending months behind bars. As you all know, Mason Greenwood has been charged with attempted rape, assault and controlling behaviour. Greenwood's been suspended by Manchester United since January. Back in January, Greenwood was arrested on suspicion of rape, assault and making threats to kill. Like I said, he's only spoilt it for himself. You know, Greenwood was a upcoming talent. You know, he's only the age of 21, so still very young. And Greenwood was a good player for Manchester United. He made his senior debut for the club back in 2019. Joined United at the age of 7. A few years ago, he signed a new 4-year contract with Man United. So anyway, that's more news regarding Mason Greenwood. Erik ten Hag, like I've said, this is his first full season as Manchester United manager, so he does need time. I think he's doing a pretty decent job. Like I've said, there's been some games this season where I've given him a lot of credit because I like the way he's approached certain games, but on the other side of things, there's been games where I don't like the way Ten Hag's approached them. So he has got some decisions wrong, but I've still not once prejudged Ten Hag yet. Ten Hag knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, and he knows that he's got big expectations to exceed. His expectations this season will be to probably guide Man United to a top 4 finish, maybe win a trophy as well. Man United have not won a domestic trophy since 2017. Ten Hag, don't forget, not so long ago got named Premier League Manager of the Month. He replaced Ralph Rangnick earlier on this year. He's under contract to Man United till 2025. There's an option to extend for a further year. He's Man United's 5th permanent manager since Sir Alex Ferguson. 5 managers have left since Ferguson. Of course, after Ferguson we had David Moyes. We sacked him after 10 months. He only enjoyed a short managerial tenure at the club. After Moyes we had Louis van Gaal. He started off well under Van Gaal and it all went downhill. I thought the football was atrocious under Van Gaal. Didn't really like his style of play at United. Van Gaal did win the FA Cup though at Man United, but like I said, we still sacked him. After Van Gaal, we had Mourinho. He enjoyed one good season at the club because he won 3 trophies in his first season, but weren't good in his second season. Man United should have really got Mourinho when Ferguson retired. Then he would have had something to build on. I think we got Mourinho at the time too late. But yeah, he was Man United manager for around 2.5 years. And after that, Man United had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We sacked him in November last year. He was the Man United manager for almost 3 years. And obviously, earlier on this year, Ralph Rangnick left Man United. He was Man United's interim manager for around 5 or 6 months. But Erik ten Hag, he's made 6 signings so far as Manchester United manager. Obviously, he brought Terrell Malacia in, Christian Eriksen, Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, Antony and Martin Dubravka. Man United have spent over 200 million this year. Earlier on this year as well, Ten Hag revealed his transfer plans for January. He said Man United will continue to hold meetings over strengthening the squad. Ten Hag will get a transfer budget of around 70 million. The January transfer window will be his second transfer window as Man United manager. Erik ten Hag has obviously let players go as well, but he's still inheriting Deadwood. You know, we've seen a lot of players leave Manchester United this year. Of course, we sold Andres Pereira to Fulham. We sold James Garner to Everton. We let Matic and Pogba leave on free transfers. We loaned Alex Telles out to Sevilla. We loaned Dean Henderson out to Nottingham Forest. Lee Grant left earlier on this year. We loaned Ethan Laird out to QPR. We loaned Amad Diallo Traore out to Sunderland. We loaned Hannibal Mejbra out to Birmingham. Edison Cavani left on a free transfer. Juan Mata also left on a free transfer. Lingard left on a free. He went to Nottingham Forest. So they are a lot of the players that have left Manchester United this year. And next year, more players will be leaving the club. I think next year, there's a very good chance that Ronaldo will be leaving. Well, a few weeks ago, it said Cristiano Ronaldo can leave Manchester United in January. Erik ten Hag will not stand in his way. But when Erik ten Hag first took charge of Man United, he wanted Ronaldo to stay. Ten Hag could receive 100 million if Ronaldo leaves in January. Ronaldo's contract at the club expires next year. There is an option to extend for a further year. He earns around £480,000 a week. Man United re-signed Ronaldo last year from Juventus. So Ronaldo's been his second spell at Man United. Don't forget, Ronaldo had a controversial goal ruled out for offside in the 0-0 draw with Newcastle. That was one talking point in that game. Ronaldo obviously scored his 700th club goal in the 2-1 win against Everton at Goodison Park. Ronaldo started some games this season, but he hasn't started a lot. Revert back to before the Everton game, it was saying that Ronaldo was unhappy with Erik ten Hag's training sessions and style of play, and Ten Hag mentioned at that time that Ronaldo was unhappy that he's not playing regularly. Martial, I think he could be departing the club as well next year. He has played some games this season, but not that many because obviously he's had quite a few injuries. He's out with injury at the moment. I think he's ruled out for the game against Tottenham tonight. Last season, Martial was out on loan with Sevilla. He's under contract with Man United until 2024. Martial's been at the club for a good 7 years or so. Man United did get him from Monaco. I reckon we'll get rid of Brandon Williams next year as well. Brandon Williams was out on loan with Norwich last season. He doesn't get in Man United's team and he's been out of injury for quite some time for Man United. He's a left back. I reckon we'll get rid of Alex Telles permanently. Like I've said, he's out on loan with Sevilla at the moment. Eric Bailly, we'll also get rid of him, I think, permanently. He's out on loan with Marseille at the moment. Bailly was a good centre-half for Man United. He was just injury-prone. But he was behind Lindelof, wasn't he? Lindelof was preferred ahead of Bailly, obviously, when we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But like I said, Bailly's a far superior centre-half to Victor Lindelof. Phil Jones will leave next year. Tuan Zerbi, I think, will leave next year. Last season he was out on loan with Villa. He's enjoyed 3 loan spells with Villa. I think he's out with injury at the moment. Lindelof, I think there's a good chance he'll be leaving the club next year. He's played a few games this season, only because obviously Varane was out with injury not so long ago. He's had some impressive games, but Lindelof's not been one of our first choice centre-halves since the arrival of Varane. Harry Maguire, good chance he'll be departing the club next year. He's no longer one of our first choice centre-halves following the arrival of Lisandro Martinez. Maguire's out of injury at the moment anyway, but he's too inconsistent. Revert back to last season, the vast majority of Man United fans were demanding for the captaincy to be taken off Maguire. Man United overpaid for Maguire, got him for 80 million. Not Phil Jones, and Wan-Bissaka, good chance he'll be leaving next year. Which doesn't get in the team, does he? No way back for him in the team because Diego Dalot is Manchester United's first choice right back. Dalot's played in every game this season, and to his credibility, he's been impressive in a lot of games this season. And Wan-Bissaka's been out with injury anyway, so he can't play. Fred, I reckon there's a good chance he'll be leaving next year. He still starts some games, even though Man United brought Casemiro in and Christian Eriksen. Last game, Fred played alongside Casemiro. But as you all know, I've got my strong reservations about Fred. Fred missed a good chance in the 0-0 draw with Newcastle. And Rashford, you know, if we don't extend his contract, you know, he could be leaving next year. Don't want to let Rashford go on a free. And same thing with David De Gea. So there you go, and obviously we've got Mitchell van der Gag and Steve McLaren at the club. They've been working alongside Eric Ten Hag. Well, Eric Ten Hag was the one that recommended them in. You've got, obviously, John Murtaugh and Richard Arnold at the club, Benny McCarthy. Earlier on this year, Sir Alex Ferguson came back to Man United in an advisory role. And obviously the Glazers still at Manchester United, and the Glazers have been a massive problem at the club for a long time. We've got to get them out of the club. For a long time, United fans have been protesting against the Glazers. The Glazers have owned the club since 2005, and not so long ago it said that the Glazers had set an asking price if they're to consider selling Man United, and it was 9 billion. Well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe did mention, didn't he, that the Glazers don't want to sell Man United. Sir Jim Ratcliffe did admit that he would have bought the club this summer if the club had been up for sale. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, he's Britain's richest man. He's the chairman of Ineos. For quite some time, Michael Knighton's been interested in buying the club, and earlier on this year, Elon Musk joked about buying the club. But as you all know, Manchester United have not been the same team since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And a lot of United fans, including myself, predicted it was all going to go wrong when Ferguson retired. We've got to accept that no one's going to replicate what Ferguson did at the club. You know, Alex Ferguson, greatest manager of all time. When he was the Man United manager, he won 30-odd trophies. So reflecting on that, he brought success to the club. But Ferguson didn't settle in straight away because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Alex Ferguson was a long-serving manager. He enjoyed a 26-year managerial tenure at the club. Man United got Ferguson from Aberdeen. Alex Ferguson retired almost 10 years ago. Told you the only mistake Ferguson made was recommending David Moyes in when he retired. Obviously before Ferguson, obviously, we had Ron Atkinson, weren't that good under him. At one point, we had Wilf McGuinness, weren't good under him. Frank O'Farrell, we got relegated under him back in the 70s. He passed away, didn't he? Was it last year or the year before? Matt Busby, you know, we had him at one point as well. But as you all know, Manchester United do play Tottenham tonight at Old Trafford. It's a massive game for Manchester United. We are coming into the game on the back of a 0-0 draw with Newcastle. And Tottenham won their last game against Everton 2-0. But it will be a tough one. You know, Tottenham are enjoying a pretty good season, like third in the league at the moment. They've only lost one game so far this season, and that was to their rivals Arsenal. After Tottenham, Man United do play Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. That'll be another tough game. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon.